If you're the kind of person who has a problem or challenge keeping your cords and hoses tidy and they get you frustrated, you're gonna love this video. I've noticed over the last couple of years, a lot of other YouTubers have stolen the video idea that I put out. The problem is they're getting it all wrong. They don't actually understand the tricks. Let me show you how to keep your cords and hoses tidy the super easy way. I don't really want to talk much about the ways to do it wrong because there's about a billion of them, but in a nutshell, a lot of people wrap it around their arm. They kind of create a cradle like this, they go around their elbow and then they attach the ends, but there's a problem with that. When you set your cord down and you try to unroll it, the cord gets all wound up on itself and you end up with all these knots, and pretty soon you end up with a mess that looks like this and you've got yourself a real headache. So the first technique I'm going to show you, you want to get your cord all the way out, and we'll do the exact same process with a hose. You want it to be laid all the way out. It doesn't have to be perfect. You just need it to not be in a big wad. So this technique I call the Skywalker Method because I had an old Navy shipman teach me this technique. They use this on Navy ships. So what you want to do is start at the end where you want to end up. So let's say this was plugged into an outlet and you want to roll the cord up. So you want to start at the outlet. And what we're going to do is make a small coil here. We're going to go over, and then the next one, we're going to take the rope behind us or the hose or the cord, and we're going to go underneath and create a second loop. And now this next turn, we're going to go over, and then we're going to go under. And we can simply repeat that process over and under and over and under. And pretty quickly, if you get really good at this process, you can roll a cord up. So there you go. So now we have the same looking cord that we had before, right? Looks exactly the same. The difference is when I grab this cord, let's say I plug this into the outlet and I grab this into the cord, watch what happens. Absolutely beautiful, no twisting, no kinking, and now you can plug it in. And again, now that you've got this ready to go, you can simply roll it back up the same way, over and under, over and under. And I'm going to slow down a little bit. So over, under, over, under. You'll actually feel, once you get good at this, that the cord wants to do this anyway. It actually wants to roll up on itself. Every once in a while, you'll have a situation like this where the cord wants to go over twice. Go over twice. It won't hurt anything, or go under twice. And then when you're all done, you can simply connect the ends, and there you go. You have a nice, tidy cord. I don't recommend the Skywalker Method by hand, although it can be done. The reason for that is it's hard to do this with one hand because you're trying to go over and under. In my experience, and this is thousands of cords and hoses rolled up, you want to do this laying on the ground. I also discourage doing this on some sort of hose reel or hose hook. You want to do this all on the ground and then pick it up and put it on the hook. Let's say that you're doing this process with a hose and you don't need the extra hose length. Look how you just leave a coil here and then you can attach it, say, to a sprinkler. And then you can just pull what you need from here to, say, the spigot. That way you don't have to uncoil or use all the cord or the hose. You can just leave the extra right where you started. The nice thing about this method is that when you're all done using it, let's say, you simply unhook the end and coil it all back up, wrap up the end, and now your hose is nice and tidy. And let's see that process really quick with a hose. Now, I've learned that your hoses will kind of get trained a little bit. So if your hose is not trained, this can be kind of challenging. Notice how I'm putting my foot on the hose here. It's because sometimes it wants to run away from you like that. So if you get a hose that's kind of like that, you can put your foot on it, and we're going to do the same thing. Over and under, over, under. And there we go. Same exact process with a garden hose. Attach the ends and you should be good to go. Here's a little tip when doing this process. Don't try to keep the coil tidy when you're rolling it up. Let the coils kind of fall where they will. And when you get all done, sort of straighten it out and you'll notice it's a nice, neat coil. So this next method of storing your hoses or cords is going to build on the Skywalker method. This one I call the bucket method. This is really good if you need to stack your cords in maybe like a work trailer or some sort of workshop. What we're going to do is drill a hole in this bucket and put part of the hose or the cord out of the hole so that it can be plugged into an outlet, say, and then we're going to coil the rest of the hose up inside the bucket and then place a lid on the bucket. And as you can see, if you did that to numerous cords or hoses, you could stack them in a very neat and tidy way. So I'm going to use a 1-inch hole saw. You can use a paddle bit or something like that too. And we want to drill just above the base of the bucket here. Doesn't have to be perfect. Got a nice hole in the bottom there. So now we can start by putting our cord in, and of course we want to put the end that we would plug into the outlet through first. And so now we've got the cord dangling through here. We want to leave enough cord here that we can plug it into an outlet. So I recommend at least maybe 18 inches or so, because a lot of times outlets are about 18 inches off the floor. So a couple feet is probably a good amount. And then we can apply the Skywalker method here to the cord. And there you go, a nice tidy way to store cords and hoses. You can see that this 50-foot cord only fills this bucket up halfway, but a 100-foot cord will almost fill this bucket up. And I think a bucket will hold a 50-foot hose. So we're on the job site, we plug the cord in, take the lid off, grab the cord, and we can just start walking. One trick for doing the hose in a bucket is don't use vinyl hoses. These tend to be somewhat stiff unless they've been laying out in the sun. They make a real rubber hose, usually by Goodyear or someone like that, and those hoses easily bend and do exactly what you want. So this time I'm going to thread through the end of the hose that would go to the faucet. And again, faucets are probably about 18 inches to 2 feet above the ground, so you want to leave yourself a nice tail. And then we can start rolling the hose up in the bucket. And voila, hose in a bucket. All right, this last method that I want to share with you is super useful if you're trying to hang cords. Again, useful in a shop or if you have a lot of vertical space. This wrap is called a Fireman's wrap. And the reason for that is they need to get things unwound quickly. So what we're going to do is take the ends of the cord and plug them into each other. So now it's a complete circuit there. And then we're going to hold those ends and work our way to the halfway point of the cord, pulling evenly on both strands until we reach the end. And here we are. We're going to start by tying a small knot in the end of this cord. Something that looks like that. And now we can take the excess cord and pull a loop through that knot. And then we just repeat the process. We take more cord and pull it through the loop. More cord and pull it through the loop. And what you'll see is we're building what looks kind of like a chain. And this is a fireman's wrap. And if we simply repeat that process till we get to the end of the cord, and then we hook the last loop through, and now the cord is secure. And you end up with something like this, which you can see would be very easy to hang. You could either hang it from the knot side or from the outlet side. Another super handy trick with this method is that we can uncoil this just enough so you don't have to uncoil the entire cord in order to use it. You can take the end loop with the outlets there and you can simply pull. And notice that the loops come out very quickly. So quickly they fell off the camera. And now you can just pull it out enough to get to where you need. You can plug this in to the outlet, this into your tool or whatever you're working on. And then when you're done, it's simply a process of picking the cord back up and starting over where you left off. You can simply re-wrap the cord and put it away. A super handy tool called the Fireman's wrap. So the next time you have to put a cord or a hose away, give one of these 3 methods a try. I think you're going to fall in love.